A very good evening and welcome to a brand new edition of News First Weekend, coming to you live from our Newsfirst studios in Colombo. I'm Arundhati Nayaka. Let's start off with a look at your headline-making stories.
President says that he respects the people's mandate over arbitrary decisions. Constitution stirs up the political stage. Views expressed on making an appointment to the parliamentary seat left vacant following the demise of MK-ATS Gunabodhana. Solutions provided for the fertilizer problem, stocks to be released from today. Cracks reported on the ground in Achuveli, Jaffna.
President of the Swiss Confederation, Johann Schneiderman, assured Sri Lanka that he would support human activities of the consensual government. He made this assurance when he called on Sri Lankan Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe in Davos, Switzerland.
Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, who is in Switzerland to attend the World Economic Forum, met with the President of the Swiss Confederation yesterday. President of the Swiss Confederation, Johann Schneiderman, had noted that his country hopes that the consensual government of Sri Lanka would continue to operate in a manner that would protect the democracy and freedom of its people. Prime Minister Wickremesinghe then met with several international investors and held discussions to elaborate on opportunities to invest in Sri Lanka. Speaking to the Indian Industries Confederation, Prime Minister Wickremesinghe said that they could invest in 4 sectors in Sri Lanka, namely the Port City project, development of the Colombo and Trincomalee harbours, and the proposed economic corridor between Andhra Pradesh and Sri Lanka. Sir Richard Branson, best known as the founder of Virgin Group, called on Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe and expressed his willingness to invest in Sri Lanka's tourism sector.
The world over has accepted us. All parties have keen interest to find out what is taking place in the country. Are there opportunities of investment in the island? Social groups inquired and followed up on the current levels of political and social status within the country. This is an example to show that other countries have taken Sri Lanka as an example. We asked foreign investors to invest in the country. We asked them to come to the island. I have no doubt that a number of persons will begin investing in Sri Lanka. All investors say that corruption needs to be eradicated. They are pleased over the fact that we have brought about a number of laws and regulations to eradicate corruption. Back then in 1977, it was Europe that was known for major developments. However, today it has moved to the South Asian region, out of which investors believe that Sri Lanka is the best to invest in.
The Prime Minister had some very useful discussion with the leaders here in the Economic Forum, Prime Ministers of various countries, as well as the economic leaders, the chairman and managing directors of various companies, Fortune 500 companies. They are all very interested in investing in Sri Lanka. They appreciate the work that has been going on since the election of President Maithripala Sirisena and Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe. They believe that Sri Lanka is a place to look to for their investments, and they have informed us that they will visit Sri Lanka soon to take this forward.
Minister of Housing and Construction, Sajid Premdasa, commented on the proposed constitutional reforms.
The minister expressed the following views at an event held to declare open a drinking water supply project in Kirinda, Tissamaharama. The constitution is the most talked about topic in the country. The former president is saying that certain things need to be done if a new constitution is formed. He calls for the establishment of an advisory committee and also calls to hold on several articles of the constitution. The former president is actively participating in this. I have a question for him. A pledge was made before the temple of the Sacred Tooth Relic in Kandy. A promise was made to the JVP as well. He said that the executive presidency will be abolished during his term. Did he do it? No. He further strengthened the executive presidency. He is advising us. But why didn't he do it then?
The Minister of National Coexistence, Dialogue and Official Languages, Manu Ganeshan, expressed the following views at an event to celebrate Thai Pongal in Colombo 15.
If they ask for a pound of flesh, there is no pound of flesh available. Some want the entire bun, but there is only one bun. We all need to share it. You cannot hold on to that. The time is no more. Now those in the opposition have begun to speak against us. Devolution of power is not only a solution to the national issue. For democracy to prevail, there needs to be power to Jaffna. It needs to be given to Mondragal as well as to Hambantota. This is not about taking the power of the Sinhala community and giving it to the Tamil and Muslim communities. This is about taking the power of Colombo and giving it to the provinces, districts and the villages. That is what the government is doing. We are creating a new constitution. One person or one family cannot reign supreme. Everyone in this country is a king.
The funeral of late Minister of Land MKADS Gunawardena was held in Kantale this afternoon with full state honours.
President Maithripala Sirisena visited the late minister's residence this morning to pay his last respects. The remains of the late minister was taken to the Leela Sports Ground in a procession amidst those who were gathered to pay their last respects. Religious observances were held thereafter. A special message of condolence by the President, which was read out by Minister Duminda Dissanayake, reiterated on the yeoman service rendered by MKADS Gunawardena, who entered active politics by winning a seat in Parliament from the Trincomalee district in 1989.
It is the passing of a great human being. He bid farewell, leaving our hearts in deep sorrow. We have lost a great companion who commenced a great journey with us for a great cause.
It was DRG Trincomalee District Makarthi Pereira who read out the message of condolence from the police for late MKADS Gunawardena, who was a retired Assistant Superintendent of Police.
Ending the fight that you started with us is the greatest honor that we can do to you. We pledge to you that we will complete it. Please give us your blessings from wherever you are.
Who will be appointed to the parliamentary seat left vacant after the demise of former Minister MKADS Gunawardena? The vacant seat is a topic that is widely discussed in the political stage.
Journalists questioned the General Secretary of the United National Party, Kabir Hashim, following a party meeting at the Kagalagula Pradesh Sabha in Kantale.
Some say this will be given to Sarath Fonseca. Some say this will be given to Rosi Senanayake. Even more names are mentioned. We have a committee in our party. A person will be nominated based on the recommendations of this committee after the Prime Minister arrives. We have not nominated a person as of yet.
Today is Thurutu Full Moon Poe Day. The significance of Thurutu Full Moon Poe Day is that it marks Gautama Buddha's first visit to Sri Lanka. It was on a day like today, 9 months after the Enlightenment, that Gautama Buddha set foot on Sri Lanka for the first time to solve a confrontation between the Yaksha and Naga tribes. The annual Alutsahar Mangale, or the annual harvest festival, took place today at the ancient Sri Darada Maliga, or the temple of the tooth relic. The annual harvest festival took place under the auspices of the Mahasangha and the Devadanna Nilame. Minister of Irrigation and Water Management Vijay Soisa commented on how tenders were processed under the previous government.
The minister spoke at an event to present compensation for the lands that fell victim to the Malimpotha tank in Bibila. I propose for the road construction in Ampara for 4,660 million rupees. Some ask how much we have extorted from the tender. The tenders were handled by Basil Rajapaksa and not us. Therefore, if there are any flaws in this, those who handled the tenders must be held accountable and not those who chose the tenders. Keep it in mind that the standards depend on how much was extorted. We saw it at that time and we were not strong enough to speak out on that. People who speak bravely today were weak back then. It was at that time President Maithripala Sirisena decided to step out and made a change.
Maithripala Sirisena ජනාධිපතිතුමා දොට්ට බෑලා ඒ අභියෝගේ බාරගෙන මේ වෙනස කරේ.
Have we forgotten?
Incidents of causing obstruction to hold a free and fair election were reported during elections that took place in the past. The distribution of silk cloths during an election period was a hot topic for months. Police announced that a sum of 600 million rupees had been spent to distribute silk cloth during the period of the presidential election. On the 2nd of January 2015, election officers seized a stock of silk cloth that had been moved to distribute among the people of Kerala, Dompe. In January last year, there was an attempt to distribute silk cloth among the worshippers who had flocked at the Delpite Rajamaha Viharya in Ridhigama on the Poya day. The chief incumbent of the temple said that the silk cloth was given to him by the UPFA organizer of Ridhigama. On the 14th of January 2015, police seized a stock of 1,700 silk cloth from a house in Polonnaruwa. Silk cloth, umbrellas and Buddhist publications were discovered from a storage facility at the Kegol district secretariat. I think they have begun to distribute makeup kits to the girls in Munragal district. Coconut saplings are also distributed. They are distributing tusks to the temples. Some are even distributing mats.
පන්සල් ගාන කියලා ඇද්දලා බෙදලා. අපිට ආරංචි සමහර අය පැදුරුත් බෙදනවලු.
අද පන්සල් වල
Distribution of clocks and silk cloth at temples are illegal. This is a violation of election laws.
මේවා නීති විරෝධී වැඩ. ඡන්ද නීති වලට අනුව මේවා කරන්න පුළුවන් දේමල් නෙමෙයි.
Can such incidents be forgotten? It's been a year since the presidential elections. There were some matters that we spoke of during the presidential election and we witnessed some of those acts. There is evidence that was recorded on camera. There are laws in the country. The implementation of those laws are now questionable. There is an election law. It determines what is a violation of election law. There needs to be a judicial system that would act upon the fraud and corruption that took place in the past. We need such a process to take the country to a place where there will be no such acts.
Have we forgotten?
Parliamentarian Buddhika Patharana expressed the following views in Matara today as to how the development mechanism should be carried forward.
The event was held today to declare open the Aluthina Road in the Horagod area, which was constructed under the door-to-door, village-to-village program to uplift 15,000 villagers.
We do not have a need to rob. We do not have a need of any sort to be a part of such activities. What needs to be done is the task. Take a look at the time of the kings. King Dalsena made the Kalabava and the Ruanveli Saya. Even if you take the Ruanveli Saya, if not for a rare monument or two, do you find any digitally printed boards that have been erected? Boards were put up by King Nishanka Malla. He did not construct that many structures, but he erected boards. Therefore, we must build our image in the hearts of the people and not on a board.
Board them. Esa api janatawage hadawate ප්‍රතිරූපය ගොඩනගා ගන්න ඕන බෝඩ් එකේ නෙවෙයි.
Well, up next is Before the Ballot with views of the public representatives ahead of the local government polls.
We have been preparing for this election for a long period of time. Because there was no election, the local government institutions were governed as per the whims of the officials. Issues have arisen with regard to this confusing situation. If these issues are to be solved, we need to have the power of the Pradesh Sabha. At present, the people despise the United National Party and the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. Therefore, if a new party is being formed to contest, we call on all our members to contest the Arachikattua Pradesh Sabha to contest under that. All local government institutions have been converted into shops. You have to pay to get a water bowser for a funeral house. The local government election is aimed for the money. This government has postponed the local government elections. Due to this, people of urban areas are greatly inconvenienced as the work is not being done properly at these councils. What the officials do is give prominence to duties in the officers. They have no knowledge about the roads or drains in the area. I think this situation is not good for the government as the other parties are trying to take advantage of this. As regional leaders of the village, we can no longer be quiet. What is important is not the party that comes to power at the next election, it is the village and the country that is important to us.
Today, News First inquired as to how the order given by the Minister of Agriculture to all agrarian service centres to issue fertilizer was being followed.
Yesterday, the subject minister said that the fertilizer will be released. However, fertilizer is not available in the market nor in the private sector. We cannot even purchase fertilizer from the shops. It can be 1,200 or 1,300 rupees. Farmers are at unease as the period of adding fertilizer to the paddy lands had already passed. Newsfirst provincial correspondents report that many acres of paddy land in Anuradhapura have been destroyed as a result. However, the Minister of Agriculture says that it had already begun to release fertilizer. I'm at the central fertilizer storage in Hunupitiya. Fertilizer from China, Russia and the Middle East is stored here. After the subject minister's announcement yesterday, we witnessed how fertilizer was being dispatched to all areas of the country. Roshana Vaduge, the chairman of the Ceylon Fertilizer Company Limited, speaking in Newsfirst, said that the shortage of fertilizer would be addressed following registration to ensure that the fertilizer reaches the farmers. Fertilizer is being distributed from the Central Fertilizer Complex in Hunupitiya. How does the process of distribution work?
In addition to this complex, we have 52 Lakpura storages and there are 559 agrarian service centers. We have already dispatched the fertilizer to all of them. Therefore, the farmers can obtain fertilizer without any further delay. Today is a Poya day and we are open today as per the instructions of the minister. Do you have sufficient fertilizer stocks to be given to all the farmers? Yes, we do. 90% of the fertilizer for the paddy fields have already been given. 8,200 metric tons of fertilizer for the additional crops have been provided for January. We have to distribute them before the end of the month. Farmers fear that when the fertilizer is distributed, they will not have to pay a higher price and obtain it from the traders. What assurance can you give to the farmers on this matter? We are monitoring this through the Ministry of Agriculture, the Agrarian Service Centre, Lakpura, Colombo Commercial, two state fertilizer corporations and the island-wide branch network.
The Attorney General has instructed the IGP to hand over the investigations of the murder of a youth in Ambelipitiya to the Criminal Investigations Department. A demonstration took place today against the police causing obstruction when reporting on a case pertaining to the incident.
The All Ceylon Provincial Correspondents Association organised a march which commenced from opposite the Ambelipitiya main bus stand.
6 of our colleagues visited the Ambilipitiya court to report on the recording of statements so that the people of the country would know what happened. First, they took our notebooks. I told that I cannot give it. The police sergeant grabbed it from me. For the first time in recent history, the police took away the notebooks of the journalists while in court when they were reporting on a murder in Ambilipitiya. This is a threat to media freedom. The journalists are prepared to defeat them. This is the message we sent from Ambilipitiya.
Cracks were reported on the ground of Achuveli in Jaffna.
A crack on the ground emerged in the Achuveli and the Navagiri areas in Jaffna following a loud noise. Walls of a number of houses were also damaged.
When we checked in the morning, there was only a small crack, but after some time this became bigger. A loud noise of an explosion was heard at around 2:15 a.m.
A loud noise was heard. The crack emerged from afar. Rocks also fell.
The Deputy Director of the Jaffna office of the Disaster Management Centre stated that the cracks had run a span of 300 metres.
I observed that there was a crack on the ground. I took steps to inform the Geological and Mines Bureau and the Disaster Management Centre.
Director General of the Geological and Mines Bureau, Dr. Bernard Prem, stated that the Bureau has commenced an investigation into the incident.
A group of youth had managed to nab a suspect that had made away with cash worth 3 million rupees in Gambela.
2 persons from Kalmune engaged in a business in Colombo had faced this incident. They were carrying 3 million rupees hoping to purchase a van, and a group that arrived in a car had made away with the money.
I was driving and a vehicle came from the rear. I was scared, so I stopped. They crashed onto me from behind. I asked them why they did that. They attacked me and took the bag. There were 3 million rupees in that bag.
Following the incident, the 2 businessmen and a group of youth from the area had followed the car in which the thieves arrived.
We caught up to them close to the Vattehena school. There was money in that. We handed over the cash to the owners. They had weapons as well.
One of the robbers had fled while 2 of them had been handed over to the police.
And with that, we wrap up tonight's edition of News First Weekend. Thank you very much for joining us. Good night.